One of you. I'll turn it over to one of you. How's that?
Good morning, Kathy Funk Baxter, Finance Director. Susie's going to do the financial presentation. I'm here for support. And understand our first one is information technology and Travis is online, but we'll do the financial part first. And then if there's something he wants to add, he can add it at any time. And y'all can ask him questions as well. So.
Susie Moon, Finance Manager. So our first line is going to be goods and services. It has a budget of just over 5.1 million, and we've brought in that entire budget. That line is made up of internal service billings for IT that are billed out to the other county departments at the beginning of the year. So all of those bills have come in. We don't expect to see any more revenue for the rest of the year. Miscellaneous revenue has a budget of 80,000, and we have exceeded that so far. We've brought in 90,000. Most of that is going to be investment earnings, about 89,000. In Q4, we will be doing a budget amendment to increase the budget to match the year-to-date actuals. Other financing sources has a budget of 40,000, and so far we haven't done that transfer yet. So that transfer is actually done at the end of the year. It's done by the auditor's office, so it's part of the document recording fee that we collect. The state earmarks that for IT services, so the county uses those funds to help pay for the Laserfish cost.
I'm going to ask a couple questions on not on these particular dollar amounts, but on that type of fund. Is IT the only one we do that, or is there other service things that we provide that we collect on? Is
On the
IT?
document recording fee?
No,
Oh, sorry.
we collect, we charge other departments for IT services. Do we have other departments that charge other departments for their services?
Yes, we do. We have risk management charges departments for the annual assessments for our charges from risk pool.
Okay,
We also have industrial accident that all of our departments pay in to help support that program. We also have motor pool, but only the departments that are utilizing motor pool are charged. We have facilities that does the allocation. So there's probably about 10 departments that are considered internal service departments.
is there an agreement between them?
And all the
Yeah,
departments?
like if we make an agreement, let's say Lakeside Paving, we do an agreement with Lakeside Paving, we sign an agreement, there's expectations in that agreement. Do we have expectations between departments? Is there any penalties for not performing?
Not that I know of. But I am accustomed to having what you call service level agreements, saying that these are the things we're providing for the county or the department.
I just, it seems to me if we expected of outside vendors and we expect service levels between, let's say, building and planning and the building industry, I mean, we even talked about setting those. We have expectations of service levels between, public works or engineering and stuff on the outside. I think we should have expectations between people inside the county that provide service and the people that depend on that service. And I don't know where we start to look at that, but to me, that seems like it makes some kind of sense and everybody needs to be held to some kind of standard.
Mhm.
Whether we're internal or external, I don't care. I think the number one priority is we get the jobs done, and there has to be a standard for that.
Right. And I'm familiar with, in my background, my experience, we had what we called them service level agreements. And they would cover the highlights of what this department provides for the billings that they're doing. So,
Okay. I'm sorry to get you off track. I'll add it to my,
no, but it's something as a project, probably the county could look into, and each of those departments could be asked to help develop those and in coordination with user groups, with the users.
Well, I think it's a worthwhile
Mhm.
discussion.
Yep.
That there should be some type of performance agreement that says that if you fail to perform, I'm not paying you for the service. I mean, there's got to be some type of balance there, especially internally.
and I think that's and I agree with Commissioner Farrell. I think that's what kind of why it jogs in my mind is, you know, we charge people a good amount of money and I think they have an expectation. And it doesn't matter to me whether it's between our office and your office, or it doesn't matter to me if it's internal, external.
It's a
The
service.
expectation is the same.
It's a service that's being delivered, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest, tomorrow, we're going to be talking in our first budget workshop, and we have our cost allocations as the topic tomorrow. And so we have IT, risk management, several of those units are going to be represented tomorrow to talk about the budget and where the money goes that the departments are paying and what it's going for. So that be great to talk about it tomorrow with the department heads. So
Okay.
so
Sorry.
it might be able to be brought up again tomorrow.
I'm sure that there's a difference for each different category for the internal billings from department to department. But for example, in this case for IT, how are those numbers based? Are they expected hours of service for each department, or how's it broke up?
Yeah, that's what we're going to explain tomorrow. We're going to talk about the methodology of how it's actually charged to a department. IT, for example, it's a pretty simple formula. It's based upon 50% of their charge is based upon the number of devices, and 50% of the charge is based upon the number of headcount for that department
Okay,
against the total cost of IT. And the majority of the IT department, I'd say probably close to 50% is personnel and 50% is software subscriptions and licenses. And then you've got some other expenses as well, but we'll outline all those for you tomorrow. We have a presentation. Thank
Okay.
you. I think it was sent to
Yeah.
y'all already.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Sorry about the rabbit trail.
No, that's
I-
okay.
I
It's a
saw
good
the-
topic.
allocation and it jogged my memory.
Mhm.
Personnel has a budget of just over 2.2 million. So far, they've spent 1.1 million. They have 13 positions filled and currently have 4 openings. We did an estimate of if those, basically what those open positions, how much money is allocated for those. So even if those had been filled, they are slightly under target by about 70,000 so far for the year. Supplies has a budget of 2.3 million and so far has spent just under 1.2 million. We are expecting to see an increase in this line later this year. A lot of the subscriptions are renewed in the fourth quarter. Services has a budget of 544,000 and so far has spent 316,000. So they are slightly below target for that one.
What would be services outside of our ILAs or interdepartmental?
So I
Contracts.
believe those would be like contracted services for special projects.
So I'm off. On services, IT has one particular contract that helps them with different projects, and they're on like a retainer. They're paid every month. So those are the types of services that they have, as well as internal service department billings. They receive a bill from, for example, risk management, for workers' comp, things like that too.
Debt service, didn't have a budget. So far has 176,000 allocated. That is related to the financial statement transaction to book, their subscription liability. One thing to note for that transaction, it also does hit supplies. So 541,000 of the year-to-date actuals for supplies are related to that entry. So it does overstate their supplies expenses by a little bit. Capital didn't have a budget. So far has spent 19,000. We will be doing a budget amendment in Q4 to increase that zero budget to match the year-to-date actuals. And that was to purchase equipment for setting up the courtrooms in this room as well as the GMR. Transfers has a budget of 402,000. We have made that transfer, so that's moving money from IT's operating account into the reserve account to put money aside for future equipment replacement. Depreciation and amortization doesn't have a budget. That is also tied to the subscription liability entry that the auditor's office does. So their last fund is going to be the Technology Reserve Fund. They have miscellaneous revenue budgeted at 200,000. So far, we've brought in 122,000, and that's entirely investment earnings. Other financing sources has a budget of 402,000. They've received all of that revenue. That is the transferring coming from the operating account. There are no personnel allocated to this fund. They have supplies of 516,000 and so far have spent just over 7,000. We did increase the budget for this line during Q2 to account for the rugged laptop purchase. That purchase has been encumbered. There is a PO for that. It's about 146,000. Services has a budget of 300,000 and so far we've spent 128,000. There is an additional 28,000 for an outstanding PO that's not currently reflected in the year-to-date actuals. That total is 48,000. So they are still under budget or under target for that line, even factoring in the PO. Capital has a budget of 832,000, and so far they have not spent any of that money yet. We did increase that line during Q3 to account for some replacements of servers, backup devices. So we do anticipate those purchases happening soon. And that's all we have for IT.
Kathy, I know we briefly talked about this in the past, but like, for example, with regards to the rugged laptops, when we decided to move forward with that earlier, is there any way that we can have something in front of us to know what the budget amount is and how it's going to impact the account that we're voting on something to approve? Does that make sense? Like in this particular instance right here with these laptops?
Right. Yes, we could be more involved in when the agenda item comes up for discussion, just making sure that we provide the information related, that they have, it's been budgeted, it's in the budget line, things like that, just to make sure that y'all know. But when the agenda item comes up or the contract comes up, to let you know the budget, it is in the budget. It's accounted for in the budget.
Okay.
in this case, they've accumulated over the last 5 years about, I think, close to 5 plus previous years balance forward. They've accumulated specifically for the regular laptops, almost $500,000. When they went to purchase it, as I think y'all were told, they purchased and they didn't have to purchase the mounts and some of the other things. And plus, they were able to utilize the Dell contract, which was cheaper than, I think, when they originally set up the reserve for this. So, so they have excess on that particular reserve. And this is one of the ones that's going to be transferred over to the sheriff's department now to manage those funds. And so we're looking at, while we've set aside almost 500,000, we only spent about 150. The sheriff's department is going to be getting that transfer of the excess into their equipment and technology replacement fund. So
Thank you.
and we'll turn it over to Travis. I don't know if he has anything he'd like to add on the operational side for IT.
Thanks, Kathy. I don't have anything additional to add, but maybe a follow-up question for Commissioner Rader. Is there a particular question that you'd like answered when we're coming forward with new purchases or proposals? It sounds like there's a question about the budget or something like that.
No, it's just an overall question. I just want to make sure that when I'm casting a vote to approve something, I want to know how it's going to affect that budget and make sure that we're in a situation to approve the money and that it's there. That's all. I just want to make sure that whatever I vote for, I know that I'm not going to send a specific fund into the red, and then we're going to have to make transfers out of another fund to cover something that I approved. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So our next fund is, or department is going to be the museum. So they are part of the general fund. They are supported by the general fund, so they don't have any budgeted revenues. Personnel, they have a budget of 125,000, and so far we've spent 76,000. So they are slightly below target. They just have one FTE in that department. Supplies has a budget of 22,000, and so far they haven't spent anything. They do have an encumbered purchase order, which is about 13,000. It's for replacement of the reader board at the museum. Services has a budget of 65,000 and so far has spent 43,000. So they are right on target for that category. And that's pretty much it for the museum. So I'll let Joseph talk about operations.
Where are we at with getting that reader board replaced?
Good morning, Commissioners. Joseph Kovednik, Museum Director, Cowlitz County Historical Museum. I talked to facilities about a week ago, and they believe that, and also the contractor who's to install the reader board, originally it was going to come in August, but it looks like either late this month or early October. So it should be operational in October.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a slide deck I shared about some just general operations that are going on, activities at the museum. I can share if you have a few minutes for that. Would the board have time for that?
Yeah.
You got a magic trick for us?
I know.
My mime outfit.
They're not latex.
So Kelly should have the very short PowerPoint with some basic updates and the magic show. and a little bit of show and tell. We have another meeting on Wednesday at 3:30, so if we can get the technology to work, I could postpone this till Thursday or till Wednesday if there's a few minutes.
I think Kelly's getting it for you.
Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, Kelly, next slide, please. I wanted to start with some just general work orders. We had about 16 work orders since March, since we last met. And 2 of them were just general cleanup at the fairgrounds for the bush cabin that the Historical Society and the museum operate primarily during the fair. We had 5 trash cleanups on the museum campus, which the staff at the museum will go around. We take turns every month doing what we call yard duty, where we pick up trash every day. But sometimes there's some larger items there that we can't handle. So it's 5 large items. Encampments usually is what they are. 4 human waste cleanups. We had some lighting that was replaced 2 times. 2 graffiti vandalisms. Backdoor sign was ripped off, instructing people not to congregate there, and 1 leaking toilet reservoir. So generally, we've had less activity. I have some pictures there on the slide there just to show we still do have some undesired activities at the museum grounds, but it's a lot less in the last 9 months or so. We have had some new lighting installed. Commissioner Dahl had recommended putting that in, and I think that does make a big difference on activity at nighttime around the museum grounds. But we can't get rid of it all. And unfortunately, the picture of those syringes, that was taken this last Friday. We found those on the grounds. But some good news, though. We had a Eagle Scout project renovate the historic jail that's right behind the Bush Cabin at the fairgrounds. The jail is listed as Cowlitz County's first jail. It was actually at the courthouse in Kalama when Kalama was the county seat. And Isaac Neves is a Eagle Scout candidate, and he chose that as an Eagle Scout project. His father, Scott Neves, who is with the Department of Emergency Management, and Brad Thurman, our county sheriff, volunteered their time to assist him with the project. We had donors from Baker Lumber and Steelscape contribute materials. Several society board members helped out, along with Scout Troop 313. And we will be placing a sign at that historic jail acknowledging the efforts of everybody who rehabilitated it. The roof on it was just completely falling apart. We already mentioned the reader board, so we'll go ahead to the next slide, please. So we have a spring art show kicked off about 2 days after we met last time. This has gone on for about 5 years now as a partnership with the Columbia Artists Association. It brings in a whole new audience into the museum, and it brings in a little bit of revenue as well. The Columbia Artists Association give the museum a donation at the end of the art show, and it's honestly one of my favorite events that we have during the springtime, and goes on for about 3.5 weeks or so. First Thursday programs had been very well attended. We bring in speakers to talk about local topics of interest. And then in the bottom left corner, we put in an application with the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation. There was a historic crash site of a 1947 August 1st B-25 bomber crashed, flew out of McCord Field, and we recovered many pieces. We have a couple larger pieces, but I just wanted to bring a smaller piece that I could transport up here easy enough. The Air Force, which was created on the day of the crash, so this is the very first crash of the United States Air Force. They picked up most of the pieces about a year later, but we were brought aware that there were multiple other fragments that were out there, and it's on private property owned by Weyerhaeuser, and we wanted to get out there before anything else happened to the pieces. So we picked up a few more remnants of that. Speaking of artifacts, we also got this one that came in, which is a gravy boat, which is marked Long Bell on it. And it was at the St. Helens Inn, which was located on Oregon Way. And the St. Helens Inn was a more of a boarding house for Long Bell workers. And this came from their kitchen from one of the gentlemen who worked there started working there in 1934 and then was promoted to manager in the 1940s. And we just received this from he's deceased now, but it's from his personal collection. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So we had about 1,500 attendees visit us at the fairgrounds last year, which is about the same as the year before. The pictures on the left show some activities there with children. We had a Hot August Crimes Tour last month that was part of the Kelso Business and Community Association's organized program to promote activity and infuse some interest in the local businesses in downtown Kelso. Brought in about $3,000 into the local businesses, of which the Historical Society got about $420, or about 14% of the registration costs. So I basically walked around Kelso neighborhoods and talked about various incidences of true crime. The previous year, we did a tour on brothels, and that was highly popular too. So they want to do this again and again, and it's been quite it sells out every year. Let's go ahead to the next slide here, and these are some upcoming activities. So we have a Bunker Hill Cemetery tour on September 27th. That is from 1 to 3 p.m. We're partnering with the Stella Historical Society and the Bunker Hill Cemetery Association for that. The picture there is of a dress rehearsal we did a couple weeks ago. We are also having a Timeless Frames film competition, which the films would show on October 19th, but the competing teams would show up at the museum on October 10th to get their final instructions. They would have 72 hours to complete a 5-minute film, and we will give them certain elements that they must include. Of course, there will be some historic elements as part of that. We have our Winter Festival on December 10th. That's that round picture in the bottom. And then we just had a America 250 formation meeting at the museum on September 2nd. The next meeting is scheduled on September 23rd. Some of the organizations that attended were the Kelso Longview Chamber of Commerce, Daughters of the American Revolution, members of the Historical Society and the Historical Museum, Laluska Foundation, Sons of Norway, the Lilac Gardens in Woodland, Early Bird Lions, Go Forth Festival, and the Longview Public Library. And then I'm saving the best slide for last, or what I think is the best slide is our school programs. Is something that I really cherish that we do. It's a traveling trunk program that brings history to local schools. The numbers keep going up and up. We're basically operating at capacity now. I don't know if we're going to have higher numbers next year, but we've got it seems like every year we add a few more hundred children to the numbers that we are able to have service for. We have also partnered with the Children's Discovery Museum on 3 events, and we would do our education programs using their venue. They bring in a lot of families and children to their current new location, and we had exposure to up to and over 1,000 people that attended on those 3 occasions. So we're just really kind of booming on that, and our senior programs are beginning to kick off, and there's larger interest in those as well. So we're having senior groups come to the museum, and we're also going out to senior centers to do programming. And I think that's about it. I really appreciate you giving me the time to give you all an update on some of the activities that we've been doing here.
Thank you for putting it together.
Yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.
So next up will be roads.
Joseph, I'm assuming no break-ins since Commissioner Mortensen retired?
Since he's retired, we have had no more break-ins at the
Okay,
museum. So
that's good.
think I went up and that plane crashes. There's still stuff up there if you go up there with a metal detector.
That is amazing. You know where the private location is?
I can't remember where it was at, but I drove up there.
Oh, okay.
I walked through, I parked my truck and walked across over where there's a monument there.
Oh, cool.
That they put up.
Yeah.
There's a marker.
Okay, so their first line is taxes. It has a budget of 15.7 million and so far has brought in 9.6 million. This is property taxes, so we do anticipate seeing that increase as we get closer to October when second half property taxes are due. Intergovernmental revenue has a budget of 16.5 million. So far has brought in just over 3 million. So this is going to be grant revenue, whether that's state or federal, for ongoing projects. So we will be keeping an eye on this line in Q4 just to see if a budget amendment is needed to lower the budget for this line. And Sean may have additional input on this line.
Yeah, I think as we get into the expenditures page and talk about projects and current status, we can really correlate those two together and see how they merge as one item.
Goods and services has a budget of 350,000 and they have exceeded budget. They've brought in 480,000. So that was work that was reimbursable to the county, that was billed to the surrounding cities. In Q4, we will be doing a budget amendment to increase the budget to match the year-to-date actuals. Miscellaneous revenue has a budget of 530,000. They've also exceeded that budget and brought in 559,000. 469 of that is investment earnings. So again, during Q4, we'll increase the budget to match the year-to-date actuals. Other financing sources has a budget of 4.5 million. So far has brought in 28,000. So those are planned transfers in of ARPA dollars. So we'll be transferring those between now and the end of the year. We'll be evaluating that line as well. If there's any projects that are being pushed to 2026, those transfers will be pushed as well.
So kind of wanted to jump back a little bit and go into goods and services and really talk about, it's a small line, but there's a lot of activities that come into there. So any of the chip sealing we do for cities, if the roads crew is out working for water, sewer, digging some holes with their equipment, or maybe at the gun range working on the driveways or things like that, all that reimbursable work's gonna come back into that line. Similar to miscellaneous, we have delayed projects, and so we're having more dollars on the books. And so that's really affecting the interest earnings on that side. We'd like to see that lower, in all honesty.
Personnel has a budget of 9.4 million and so far has spent 4.8 million. So they do have 73 filled positions and 3 open positions. Even factoring in the open positions, which have an annual salary of about 213,000 before benefits, they are still slightly below where we'd expect them to be at this point in time.
It is good to hear that our engineer positions have been filled though. So we're hoping to see great work come out of those positions. They've been open for quite some time. So I think we talked about this last month as well. Those are very exciting to have filled.
Supplies has a budget of 3.1 million and so far has spent just over 2 million. So they are on target for that one. They did complete their chip seal projects earlier this year compared to 2024. Services has a budget of 9.3 million and so far has spent 4.1 million. They are anticipating seeing an increase of roughly 3.5 million for those invoices related to the chip seal projects.
So as Susie talked about, the services look low currently. We're awaiting billings from Lakeside still for our overlay. It's about a $3 million project total on that one. And we complete our striping program for the year as well. And so we'll see about 600,000 on that one. Those are some of the big chunks of our services categories for the year.
Debt service doesn't have a budget. They do have a subscription liability entry, which is why we have a negative 13,000 there. Capital has a budget of 18.2 million and so far has spent 1.6 million. So if any of those ARPA transfers are pushed to 2026, we'd expect to see the capital expenditures move with those into 2026 as well.
And similarly, as well as some of those larger projects are pushed or moved to different years, the intergovernmental revenue, the grant dollars associated with those would be moving as well. So that's kind of how those correlate. And then we have Susan in the audience as well, if there's any questions on specific projects or overall capital plan.
There's always concern, you know, you never know what the federal or state is going to do on those grants, but I would assume once you got a grant, it's built into the budget for the year you got it, and it's just part of that budget, right? So I don't think they go back and really change, so sorry, I'm going to make you walk up.
So good morning, Susan Eugenius. So as long as you are actively working on the project and billing regularly, they do not take the money. You do have drop dead dates on all the grants, and you can request extensions on those. For example, the CRAB dollars, you have like 5 or 6 years from when you get the money to when you turn the first shovel of dirt. It's not when the project's complete. WashDOT has a similar obligation target. You hit your obligation and then you have 5 years for that phase to complete. So you have a 5-year for the design and 5-year for the construction. So they do have those built in. FEMA also has timelines and you have to request extensions if you go out. So no, they generally don't take it all back except if you're not meeting
Unless you don't-
milestones. Yeah.
Unless you don't meet the contract that you've signed up for.
Yes.
But I just, you know, we hear so much about the Fed's not going to be sending money, but I think a lot of these are previous budgets, and I don't think they go back and amend previous budgets. They may amend what they do this
Moving
year
forward,
and
yeah.
next year, but not go back and amend previous stuff as long as stay on track with what
Yes.
the contract says.
I've heard of several grant programs going away. So FEMA, for example, the BRIC program, Building Resilient Infrastructures in Communities. I remembered the acronym for the name. That has gone away. Some of their AOP, Protect, and various others I've heard are going away and they're not going out for other bids or for new grants. Bridges are still out there. And so and the STP money is still out there.
Out there.
So,
You know, Chairman, Mr. Chairman, that brings up a thought. Do we have anything in place on money that we give out as to a timeline when they have to use it? And if they haven't used it yet, can we request it back if it's been 3 years, 4 years, and that money hasn't been spent?
Yeah. That's a good thought.
Kathy
Yeah.
Baxter, Finance Director. I can speak to our Public Rural Facilities Fund. When we enter those contracts, we do have the date they're expected to complete those projects. And we also have in the contracts now a certification form they have to send back in to certify that those funds were fully used for that particular project. So I can speak to at least those awards that we're making where we do have we have the end milestone basically in those included in the programs. And then we have started doing some of the programs where we're asking for it to be a cost reimbursement. So during the project, they have to turn in paperwork to get reimbursed. So,
And that's with the Public Facilities District.
right, that's with the Rural Public Facilities Fund that we award every year, about $3 million to $2 to $3 million. You have other items, I believe in the Health and Human Services where we have partners. So I can't speak to those, but I can at least speak to the Rural Public Facilities Funds, what we have in place.
Yeah, that's a good thought, and we should be diligent with that if we're not. I'm assuming we are, but yeah.
Yeah, not spent by this deadline, return
Yeah.
to sender.
That it? You're all good?
Does the county have a sandbag program or something if we had a flooding situation that we provide sandbags for county citizens?
So in general, the sandbag program is we have to reach a certain threshold of flooding, and then the board needs to approve, two of the three members need to approve us handing out sandbags, and we make those available at our Kelso shop down on Talleyway.
Do we provide them with the sand, or can we send them to go take it off at one of the sites?
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That is a good, yeah.
We can find a new. room shop. Yeah, it would be
We give
funny.
you the bags, you haul the sand. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. We got a few minutes before, there may be a couple things that we can mark off that nobody has to be here for. Did you have a chance to look at this proclamation for Constitution Week? I just happened to be out at Castle Rock, last Monday, and the Daughters of the American Revolution presented it to them, and they did it. And I said, wow, maybe we ought to look at that. So anybody have any, it actually, the signing date is tomorrow, back in 17, whatever.
I don't have a problem with it. I think it's good.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Okay, well, we put that on the agenda for tomorrow. Commissioner Rader said we had the one gal apply on the homeless, and he sat down and had a conversation with her and feels like she'd be an asset to it, so I think if he's good with it, I'm good with it. Okay. Okay. Be some stuff. Okay, we just take it. Is Jennifer on? Do you know? Oh, she's gonna actually come in. She wants to talk about. Okay. I can ask her. I don't know why this is really coming to us and not going to facilities, but we can ask that question. Well, we take 10 minutes and then we'll reconvene. Hey. We'll head into agenda review. I think, what do I see? I see Public Works is on top here.
Good morning again, Commissioner Sean Roy, Public Works. And talk on item number 1 under call for bids. It's for 3,000 ton of 3/8 screen sand, and this is to be stockpiled at every shop at 750 tons each. This is in preparation for winter. As they say, winter is coming. And so we're just getting ahead of the game. This is part of our budgeted supplies for the year. And just looking to go out and get that procured.
Who's they? You said, they said winter's coming. Who's they?
I think that's Game of Thrones.
I was okay with this right until you said winter.
Yeah.
You know, it's already September. It's gonna be coming
Yeah.
quick.
I know it.
This morning it was nippy when I got outside.
You know, it's 48 degrees, 49.
Okay.
Away we go.
So Susan Eugenius again, I have a bunch of various items. Number 2 is a request for qualifications for as-needed water and sewer engineers. Our current contract expires the end of this year, so we're going out to replace that contract. We use them for small issues that come up throughout the year that require engineering services. So we generally put 200,000 on the contract for multiple years, and we use it or they don't. That's the way the contract works.
How long was the last one, Susan?
4 years?
4 year?
Yes.
That's what you're kind of anticipating again
Yeah, we generally do a 3-year contract with the right to extend it for a year
for
to
additional?
finish up what they're working on. Then we have a amendment to professional services agreement with RH2 Engineering. They are engineer of record for the Toutle Water System Improvement Projects. Those are the 2 pump stations up in the Toutle area, one along the highway and then the other on Juanita. During construction, we needed some additional support from the arborist in the area of the trees on the highway, some extra monitoring and adjustments in the field for our gas crossing, and then a bypass plan. This project, we are currently, all the water line is installed, the pump station is in place. We are just waiting for PUD to finish their portion to power up the pump station, and then we'll start testing it, and that project will be done. So those residents will all have pressure at the meter that meets DOH requirements. So that was the purpose of that project. You said there was another one?
Okay. Does it give us more capacity or anything like that? It's just, we're bringing it up to standard for everybody that's on it right now.
Correct. We're bringing up the pressure. There will be other lots that are adjacent to those that can now hook up because there'll be adequate pressure in
Because
the
of
area.
Pressure, okay.
Yes.
How many more hookups will it tolerate before it has to be upgraded again?
I do not know that number. I can look into it.
That's okay. Close enough.
Yeah, it's more of a infill in the area than an adequacy of the pipe because these lots were allowed to hook up and there was not adequate pressure. And don't know when that occurred. So this corrects that issue. So now some of the adjacent lots that were denied can now hook up because there's pressure available.
Okay.
And then the final item from Public Works is easement for the end of Hanson Road. So sometime in the 80s, the county worked with the property owner at the end of Hanson Road to construct a turnaround at the end of the road. They went through the whole process. Turnaround was constructed, but the right-of-way was never obtained and recorded. So we have worked with the property owners to rectify that situation. So this is the final piece. So it's not with a current project. It is, we're cleaning up some paperwork.
The easements were just never filed back then for whatever reason.
For whatever reason, it was never filed. And we find that on projects from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, that they think they got it all done, and then there's one little piece left off, and it's usually recording an easement.
Okay,
That's all we have.
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Corrections, Bryn.
Good morning, Marin Fox, Director of Corrections. On the consent agenda, you have an amendment to our personal services agreement with NathCare, EverHealth in the state of Washington. They have a subsidiary. We're doing an amendment to continue their contract for one additional month for the month of October, where we went out to bid, received bids back. NathCare did bid. We did not choose them as our vendor. We chose the lowest bidder. It's a company called Medico, and we're working that contract out right now, but won't have it in time for the end of September. So what it equates to is a 17% increase for the jail and juvenile medical services. The other two components, the mental health and the MAT, stayed the same. So it's a 17% increase for those two portions for the month of October.
Is that Lowe's, is that company, Marin, the one that was from the East Coast?
Medico, the new company, yes, that's not the contract before you today. But yes, they're from Virginia. They've picked up some contracts in the state of Washington, SCORE, which is quite a large jail, municipal jail in Tacoma, or SeaTac, and Nisqually as well. So just for reference, for the month of September, the total was 208,149. For October, it'll be 227,532.
Okay.
And then we'll transition to the new vendor.
So for October would be, what'd you have there again? 220?
227,532 in total. That's for the jail, juvenile, mental health, and MAT.
And it's 1 month extension, just so to give us time to get the new contract
Yes,
finalized and
Yep.
signed.
that's
Okay.
correct. And it's with legal right now, so we're getting close. That'll be before you within the next few weeks.
Okay.
Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you. We have Ryan on, do you know? I'm assuming he's. I don't see Ryan. Jessica, why don't you come up and do it?
So the item, sorry, Jessica Warren, Human Resources. The item I have on the consent agenda is the annual renewal for the LEF1 retirees Medicare plan. The increase was 5.42%, which isn't too bad. So it's increased about $25 per member per month. And I don't have the exact number of people on the plan anymore, but I know it's decreased recently. So I know it's probably around 13 maybe.
Yeah, this is a plan. We no longer offer it, right? But it was grandfathered in for this group and.
Correct, yeah. So
okay.
LEF1 law enforcement retirees, they would have had to retire back in like the 90s, I think, so.
So we're thinking there's roughly 13
Yeah.
members that are still part of this.
I called Katrina Harris this morning. She didn't answer, but she would have the exact number, but I think it's decreased in the past couple of years.
And will continue to do so.
And will continue, yeah. There won't be any increases.
Part of life, isn't it? Okay.
And if there's nobody on from the PA's office,
I was just gonna say, you might know a little bit about this other one, right?
yeah, so that's a new personal services agreement with an attorney to do specific employment law items. We are needing additional help and our other employment law attorney hasn't been as available. So this is somebody that we've used through the risk pool, really liked working with her. So they're looking
Okay.
to use her services.
To use that services.
Is there like a retainer we have to pay in order to do that?
I believe it's a $275 an hour.
Just to start flat rate, there's no.
Yeah, we just pay them by the hour when we need them. Sometimes we're pretty light on needing attorney assistance. recently we've had some more complicated issues that we've needed for help with. And then I don't have any HR requests today, so that's all I have. moving
Okay,
forward.
thank you,
Thank you.
Jessica, I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Just making a note here. This looks pretty good. We have no human resource requests. Oh, I got a call. You guys knew who Gary Fredericks was, right? He just retired from WSU over there. He called me last week and he still gonna do some volunteer work for him. And he wanted to know if any of us, if the commissioners had any issue with him once in a while using the office for the volunteer work with WSU.
I don't.
I said, I didn't think we would, but I would run it by everybody to make sure.
Using our office, or that office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
no,
WSU building.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Rural County District Board of Trustees? Oh, she's coming in, that's right, at 11. Okay, so. Does she want to touch on that? Give her some time back today? Hmm? Okay. Kaylee, do you want to talk about that travel policy?
Good morning. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Awesome. Yeah, so in front of the board, we have an updated travel policy. We worked with Kelly and just multiple members that would have the biggest impact by this policy. We worked a little bit with Savannah and Public Works. And we piggybacked off of the KidSat policy. We also pulled multiple policies from different counties and kind of looked at what they had in place and what worked well for them. So we did a little research there outside of KidSat as well. But what's in front of you is what we came up with. We have also ran this through legal at this point, and they did give us the go ahead a couple weeks ago now. But they were okay with everything that was in it. And outside of reading it word for word, I'll just leave it open now. So
Is the red line stuff here the change stuff or?
um let's see. I think those were just the most recent.
Okay,
Yeah, because it was almost a complete overhaul of the policy.
Yeah, the old policy was like 5 pages. This one's like 12.
Yeah.
is there, I'm asking for opinion now. Is there anything in here you think is going to give somebody heartburn that
I
they're doing now that they won't be able to, or they'll have a different way of doing it?
I think probably the biggest thing will be for lack of a better word, parties that happen, like retirement parties, things like that. We didn't address that in prior policies. We do address it in here. And I do believe it also impacted one, Kelly, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it impacted one other policy as well with the change in verbiage for things like retirement parties. That's probably the biggest thing. The rest are more so, we just didn't have it in writing, would be the best way to put it. We're following a lot of the procedures that we've always have been. We just, our policy, as you know, before was not clear, didn't have a lot of detail, didn't give a lot of instruction to departments. So we kind of just always had to go by the past practice rule. So this just kind of puts everything obviously down on paper and gives us a legitimate policy to work by.
Yeah,
I don't have anything so
Yeah.
far that I have any heartache over.
yeah.
That red line one is one that I raised the issue on the way that it was worded previously. And I'm happy with what it says now.
So any policy stuff, will it just subject to come as an agenda item?
Yeah, if you guys approve to put this on the agenda for approval, we can do that for
You can put it
next
on
week. And
Next week, put it
yeah.
on there.
and just wanted to add that the policy that we replaced was specific to travel. And this one is kind of bringing together allowable expenses and the travel all in one. So that's why it's a lot longer than the previous policy.
I know the other one could be subject to some interpretation and stuff, so I think having clear guidelines makes sense to me, so everybody
Yeah,
understands, they can look at it and say, okay, this is what we can do, and
it was a little outdated. Things like Lyft and Uber and stuff, when those weren't really popular back then. And so those things are now included in there.
Yep.
anybody see any reason we shouldn't put it on an agenda?
No, I'm good with it going on the
Okay.
agenda. You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Kaylee, I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you for your time and efforts.
Yes.
Do we have, Jessica, do we have an executive session? Oh, okay. So, well, and then we expect this volunteer to be in about 10:30. Okay. So that's really all we're waiting on, really. So we'll just recess till she shows up. Okay. Okay, we'll come out of recess and there volunteer boards and committees, Library District Board of Trustees. Thinking that's, what do we want to do here today?
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and then there should be a button, it'll turn a bright green light on, so the microphone comes on. Should be live. Perfect.
Not exactly sure why I was asked to come today, but I just thought I'd give you a rundown of what the mini rural library is.
Okay.
I'll just start now. My name is Lisa Sudar, and I serve on the Cowlitz County Rural Partial Library District Board. It's kind of a crazy long name, but it refers to a library district that was created in order to serve county residents who didn't have access to our city library unless they bought a card. It was formed on November 5th, 1996. The board members are appointed by you, the county commissioners, and serve for a term of 5 years. There are 5 board members, and I am currently the chair of that board. Our job is to oversee the funds that are collected through property taxes and to contract with the city library. We usually meet once a year to set our budget and contract with the library at that time. Before there was a rural district, there were many school kids in our community who didn't have a library card. I was among several people who started the push for the rural district, and I've been a supporter ever since. It has been great to see kids and rural residents have access to our wonderful library. Jacob Cole, the current library director, attends our yearly meeting, providing statistics and reporting on programs that are offered through the library. One of the things that the rural board is responsible for is funding future elections if there is a request to add more precincts to our mini district. The reason that it is a mini district is because not all the precincts in our county wanted to be a part of it initially. The
Okay,
initial vote to establish the district actually failed, so people went back to the drawing board and eliminated the main Kelso district's precincts at that time because they had their own library and they said, no, we're not interested in it, as well as some others, to focus on the people who are interested in having a card. As a county board, we are monitored by the state auditor. I've taken part in those audits, super fun. And we adhere to the Open Meetings Act. We employ a bookkeeper since it's a public money that we oversee, but the board members are all volunteer. We keep some money in reserve because if any of the other precincts do want to join, the cost of running that election would fall to us. We supported the purchase of the bookmobile. We donated $50,000 toward its purchase as a fundraise for that event. At a recent meeting, we also okayed some money to spend on a part-time position for a librarian to work as an outreach librarian to serve our county members. Because at one meeting, a library patron came and spoke about the impact the library had during on her shut-in mother during the COVID shutdown. We're always looking for new ways to get more people into the library, and this outreach librarian can provide that because his job is to go out and meet the people and work with bookmobile schedule and that sort of thing. Because there was no existing outreach librarian for our district, we had to create that position. There was one for the city, but our original contract, it was interesting that the city specifically excluded bookmobile services because they didn't have one, but also outreach services because it was a city employee who used a city car. And so somebody who was going outside of the city couldn't use that car to go out to our district. So we created a new position. By hiring a county rural outreach librarian, a dual purpose was served, and that was to help with those rural services, but also to coordinate with the bookmobile because it's another way of getting them services out there. I'm happy to try and answer any questions you might have, and I thank you for your time.
I do have a question for you. In the age of kids on these things and in front of computers and things of that nature, how are you guys able to, with the outreach program, get kids interested in what a library has to offer?
Well, one of the things is that our city library is excellent right now at being a gathering place for those kids because no matter how connected they are online, if they're not out seeing face to face, we can see what some of the consequences can be of that.
Mhm.
I was a high school librarian, and so I can tell you that a lot of the research happens online, but you still need to be able to read it. You can push a button and have something read to you, but if you're going to create a paper or a research project, you better be able to read and write. And that's one of the things that can happen. The other thing that we do have through the library is a thing. I have all these signs that I made for a presentation. We have an app that maybe folks have used, and it's called Libby. It can be on your phone. You download the app, and you can get access to anything you want to check out on your Kindle. Library magazines, that sort of thing, are all there because our library contracts with them. And so I think the biggest thing is it's a gathering place. We've had fantastic summer programs. My kids, we're Robert Gray kids. I live in the Stella area. And our library, a few times we try to get the school library to stay open for access.
because my kids were all readers, and we didn't have that, but we had fantastic summer programs where you get rewards every time you go in, you get a ribbon if you read 10 books, you get a prize if you get drawn for the prize. They have a lot of really neat programs, and it used to kind of focus on summer reading to keep them reading, but now they're all year round. They have fantastic stuff.
That's good. I know that there's definitely an advantage mentally and psychologically to reading out of a book as opposed to reading mentally. I can only read off of these things for so long, whereas out of a book, I can read a lot more. And I think cognitively, it's good for kids to read out of books too.
Yeah, I will say that like my Paperwhite, I have a Kindle, I just have rotating computer, so I have to use, a book is hard. So a Kindle is very helpful, and it can be the same kind of format going into your brain. I will say too, though, that they've done many studies that show that reading fiction can help create empathy. And I think that empathy, some people denigrate it, but I think it's a very important trait for our civilized world, to be able to empathize with other people around you.
Interesting. That's okay. This is a place for that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So your major focus is kids. I get that. Do you ever have adults that want help with any of that or? Yeah,
I
yeah.
kids in reading, but no, absolutely. That's why we got the adult outreach librarian, because down our road, I mean, I still have neighbors who don't know they can get a library card, and that's changed me greatly, but we have shut-ins out there. The outreach librarian for the city level goes to the assisted living homes, that sort of things, and one-on-one takes people books.
Oh, good.
That's what our outreach librarian, we're trying over and over, and he's done a really good job, Jacob Longshore. And he's doing a really good job. He goes out to assisted living places because you do have county residents there as well. And he's been at Bookmobile when it comes out to Stella. And he came to Stella Days a couple of years ago and had a little booth. And so, yes, we absolutely are trying to connect with adults too, because there's a lot of really good resources there.
Yeah.
Consumer Reports, magazines, and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
Like that.
Awesome. Good. And how many did you say were on the board?
5.
5?
And I understand that you're gonna have an application today for a new member because we go off after 5 years. And so we lost one member last year, and so we have a new applicant, so I'm really excited about that.
Do you know the applicant? I did see that.
It's Tina
Smith.
Smith, yeah.
And you know her?
I know of her, I'm sure I've met her, but I served on the Library Foundation at one point, she served on some board for that, so I'm excited.
Good.
Okay. That's one we need to approve today. Okay. The library board is good with them. I'm certainly good with them. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
She's a retired public librarian from Fort Vancouver.
Yeah.
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 Anybody who likes books, doesn't matter what your
Yeah.
credentials are.
Let me ask you, it's kind of an off the wall question. It probably really doesn't have anything to do with what I know it, but I've harped on this a couple times because I guess I can't get this study I read about off my mind, that it was really and I'd have to pull it up and see who all did it, but it was a study that was basically, they took a look at people in incarceration and if they could find some correlation between behavior that puts you in incarceration and the ability to get along in the world. And they found what under their numbers, they're saying like 75% of people in incarceration are functionally illiterate, meaning they don't read at the right level, they can't do math at the right level and stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure Brazil has started a program where they teach these people how to read and give them books, and as they read and they do so much, they get time off on the theory that being better equipped to get along in the outside world, that they won't be back in there. And so do we ever give any credence to, maybe providing books and stuff to the jails or the juveniles, or is it even a thought process?
Juvenile Detention Center and the teacher. And there's actually a study that says if you haven't gotten kids reading by, I think it's as early as third or fourth grade, then you're sunk. You need to get them up to, and to snuff by then. And absolutely, there's a correlation with incarceration and, not being able to read. But there are many, people that provide books to our jail. And I don't know of any programs specifically that go into, the juvenile
go in.
detention center, but it also has become a very litigious society, and just mere volunteers, it's very difficult to do anything of that nature.
Yeah.
Right now, but that's our push, is to get books out there to everybody that should be reading, and that's every single one of us, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you. I have a nephew that has never gotten to the point where he can read, and he struggles all the time with law and staying on the right side of it type thing. And so Yeah.
Get off your phone, read with your kid. I think that's the biggest thing if you're a parent. But there are definite barriers to kids. Some kids have dyslexia or natural, difficult to read, but more and more research is going into ameliorating those problems as well.
Yeah.
Both of that.
Thanks. I know that was kind of out of left field.
But it is because I think you're absolutely
Yeah.
reading is very, very important. It's fundamental.
Yeah, I'll have to train.
We used to have a reading is fundamental program here in town. I was on the board for that for a long time, and that got free books to kindergarten, first and third graders, second graders, 3 times a year, just any book they wanted to pick. And the philosophy behind that was you let them pick the book they want. Sometimes it was above their reading level, but if they take it home and if they interact with the parent in the house or the grandparent, you've at least got them hooked on books. So
Yeah,
books are important.
I would agree with you. Yeah,
Anything else?
no,
Thank you.
thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Interesting. Okay, I think the last item I see is, we have an executive session, performance of employee. Geez, I don't know. I don't know. Let's, 20. Okay, let's start with 20 and we'll go from there. How's that? Okay, so we'll go into executive session. Okay, back from executive session. No decisions rendered. I'll turn it over to you, Jessica.
Hello again. Requesting from the board to post for an IT director position.
Okay. We're all good with that? Yes. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other business for, I guess we're in the afternoon now. See none? We'll adjourn till tomorrow morning. Thank you.